tray is back here in the back room.
We got a quorum.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 12, 2003 meeting of the Haltom City Council. I'd like to welcome everyone who is here with us tonight in the council chambers, as well as those who are watching on HCTV. We are always pleased to have our citizens aware of what goes on at City Hall and of the decisions that are made and the discussions that affect the quality of life here in our community. So to all of you, welcome to our meeting tonight. I'd like to ask you at this time if you will stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance to be led by Councilmember Tracy Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and ask for guidance as we oversee the business of Haltom City. Thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, and please forgive us of our many shortcomings. Please be with us tonight as we travel to our final destinations. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we do have a large group in attendance tonight, and I know a number of you are here to be a part of the transition since we just had an election last week. And at this point, I would like to recognize Councilmember Dewey Markham. Dewey's a part of the outgoing group, and then in a moment we'll welcome those who are among the incoming group. Councilmember Markham, do you have anything you'd like to say to this group here tonight?
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you very much. I prepared 3 speeches, a short one, a medium length, and a long one. And I thought today, which one was I going to do? Very thankfully, I chose a short one, so I won't be here much longer. May the 12th, 31 years ago tonight, was a special day in my life. It changed my life. I got married. Earlier today, Nellie asked me where did we have reservations, since I was not going to be here until midnight. I replied anywhere she desired as long as we stayed in Haltom City because the city needs the tax money. On May the 3rd, the voters made a change in council members in place 7. Mrs. Branson campaigned on the basis of change. The voters concurred, and I humbly accept their decision. I congratulate her on her victory and wish her the best of luck and Godspeed. Change is inevitable for all of us in every facet of our lives. Our cities change, our nation changes, our world and we ourselves change, most of the time without us even realizing it. We must be willing to accept that fact. When there is change, we must remember and never forget there has to be a balance. I find that balance tonight in Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 8. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. God bless you.
Councilmember Markham, that was a short version.
It was a short version there.
I would, if you would join me here, I have a presentation to make to you tonight on behalf of the members of this council to show our appreciation. So if how many years have you served as a council member in Haltom City?
We had the pleasure, altogether, of 12 years. I've also had the pleasure of serving with 27 different council members, 4 mayors, including you, and 4 city managers, with the privilege of helping to hire 2 of our city managers. So it's been a long tenure, and I deserve a rest.
And you deserve a rest. On behalf of all of us, the citizens throughout all the years, the current staff, the elected officials, it is my pleasure to present to you something tonight we hope you will look at often, that you'll display proudly. The City of Haltom City, in appreciation to Dewey Markham for your dedicated service to the community as City Council member from May 1999 to May 2003. That doesn't include that earlier stint you were talking about.
I understand. I hope you have a plaque for that one.
You have a plaque for that one. But it is our privilege to present this to you at this time.
Thank you, Mayor.
In grateful appreciation
Thank
for
you, Mayor.
all you've done.
Appreciate it, sir.
Before Council Member Markham steps down, I'd like to give the people here at the dais an opportunity to make any comments you'd like to Council Member Markham, soon to be ex-council member, former council member. If you'll just turn your light on, I'll be glad to recognize you. Council Member Hurley, I believe your light came on first.
Well, this is kind of strange. I've enjoyed serving on the council with Dewey, but I never can forget that whenever I first retired out of the military in 1969 and came to work here in the police department, he was just a young pup and he was on the council then. And the other day I asked him, I said, really, how old were you? He said he was 20-something. I said, no, you couldn't have been, because you're not even as old as my son. But it's been a pleasure and a joy working with him. We'll miss him, but he'll still be here in town, and we'll still visit.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. About 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, I called Mr. Markham. Mr. Markham had been a supporter of mine in the past, and I'd asked him if he'd ever thought about running for city council again, and I had to dial the number again. He hung up on me. And so I called him back, and he refused to discuss it 4 or 5 times, and finally Nelda told me whether he was going to get me off the porch to go out there and talk to me about it. And so Dewey went ahead and agreed to run. I've never seen anybody campaign like Dewey campaigned back then, tirelessly, walking the streets, knocking the doors. It's unbelievable, the people in Haltom City that know Dewey Markham, know the Markham family. They got an impeccable name. They got a good reputation. I've done as much as I can to try to scar that for him and not been able to do it. But it's been a good 4 years, Dewey. I really enjoyed it. I hope this isn't the end of our friendship. I'm still going to have my phone. I'm going to call you in the middle of the night, tell you we're still up here at midnight having council meetings. Bring me something to eat. I just want to know that you're like a brother I never had, and I love you. And I appreciate everything you've done for the city.
Councilmember Fowler.
Well, of course, Councilmember Williams, you're always a hard act to follow. When I first came on this council, and for years I'd always known Mr. Dewey as Mr. Markham. I guess over the last year I've had the opportunity to gain his friendship that I feel very very blessed to have that opportunity to now call him Dewey. As it's previously been stated by the mayor, 12 years of service to a community or 12 years of service to a job or anything else is a long time. That's a lot of dedication. He's given up a lot of things in the evenings and at night from not only from himself but from his family, and that's for everyone up here, the newly elected council members and the council members that I've had the opportunity to serve with. They give up a lot for the community, a lot of time away from their family, from events. They spend time on July the 4th at parades and do the things. There's so many things that people don't realize that they give time and give effort to. And Mr. Markham's always come forth. It doesn't matter whether it was a donation or whether it was, volunteer time or do whatever. He's done nothing but good things for this community, and I'm proud to say, very proud to say, that not only I can call him Mr. Markham as a council member, but also Dewey as a friend. And I thank you for that.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. About 2.5 years ago, I received a phone call from Mr. Markham to get me involved in the situation I'm in today. I don't know whether to thank him for that or not, but I'm here, and I appreciate everything you've done for me and the citizens of the Haltom City, and I just want to thank you.
Councilmember Averett.
Dewey, there's not much that I could add to what's already been said here tonight. You and I have been friends for a long while, and I know we'll continue to be. It has been a privilege to serve with you, and I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate the camaraderie that you've brought to this council. I appreciate the guidance, because you have been a mentor of mine while I was on the council, and you will be missed.
I haven't known Dewey as long as some of you have. I've lived here 30 years. When I guess I first got acquainted with Dewey when I attended a council meeting when we moved here in 1973. I believe he was in office at that time. When I served on the Birdville School Board, we were trying to pass a bond election, and we needed some good representatives from the community. And I knew Dewey was a property owner and represented a segment of the community that needed to be on that board, and I asked Dewey if he would serve as one of my representatives on that bond study group, and he consented to do so. Dewey and I don't always agree, but I've learned something about Dewey. Dewey can disagree without being disagreeable. Dewey has always been a gentleman, and I value that very, very high. And during the 2 years I've served as mayor, Dewey was one individual that I could go to and talk to about anything, and I appreciated that, and I respected that. And tell Nelda thank you for sharing you with us during all of these 12 years you've served. And when you leave tonight and y'all go out to eat dinner, you're not going to think about this council meeting going on down here and feel guilty about not being here?
Not at all, Mayor. Not at all.
Wayne, any comments you'd like to make? You've been around quite a few of these years. Dewey has served on the council. Any comments?
Absolutely. Dewey, I have enjoyed working with you. I'd like to echo some of the comments that have made. I really appreciate you being a voice of reason on the council. You're a very sharp individual, and I've always appreciated the way that you always can assert a position in a manner that is very rational, and you try not to induce arguments among council members, even though there are disagreements at times, and you have a very easy way of presenting your position without offending people, and hope to try to have people see both sides of the issue, and I appreciate that very much. I really want to encourage you to enjoy your time off, because you've earned it. You've worked hard the last 4 years, and I want you to appreciate that as you leave. You're welcome.
Do any final comments you'd like to make before we let you back that chair up one more time? And
No, sir. I believe everything that should have been said's been said, and Nelda is probably waiting outside in the car, ready to go. So,
Well, Dewey, again, thank you, and it doesn't hurt if we give Dewey 2 standing ovations tonight. Thank you.
Make mine medium rare. I'll be right back.
The second member of the council outgoing at this time is Councilmember Philip Jennings, and he is not able to be with us tonight. He has really been sick the last week, and I regret he's not able to be here tonight. We do have the same clock and plaque of appreciation to give to Phil for his years of service. And I want to open the floor at this time, even though Phil is not here. He may be watching on TV or may be able to see a replay of what happens. I'd like to give the members of the council an opportunity to make any comments you'd like to Phil. Councilmember Williams?
I would tell you, I would bet $50 Phil's not watching the council meeting, but he doesn't have cable TV, so I know he's not. I wish that Phil could have been here tonight. Phil's had a pretty tough last 4 or 5 weeks. He's suffering from pneumonia right now, getting over it, and he didn't want to come up here and chance spreading it to anyone else. But Phil is just like a brother, just like Dewey has. Phil's we've laughed about stuff, we've cried about stuff, we've worked things over. Between Dewey and Phil, y'all are going to miss them because they're the ones been keeping me in line. I guess it'll be up to Tracy and Trey to do that now. I wish Phil was here. I wish Phil's mother was here, is who I wish was here. She's the one that's got the eloquent words, and she could really... But I just thank Denise, and I thank Mother Jennings for sharing Phil with us for 4 years. He's been a very good asset to us. He's been a very big help with the Animal Control Center. He's been a very good help with the Crime Control Prevention District. And I know that Phil's going to be missed on both of those. So, Phil, I know you're out there somewhere. I love you. I'll be with you in a year.
Councilmember Fowler.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I guess I knew Phil for quite some time prior to getting on the council, and there's one thing that I will have to say about Councilmember Jennings. Although I didn't often agree with him on some issues, you never knew where he stood, or where he didn't. You always knew where he stood, and he never left you in the dark on things. He was very cut and dry, and oftentimes I know that might have come across abrasive, but there's one thing about Councilmember Jennings. He always stated his opinion, and he never held anything back, and I have a great deal of respect for that. I didn't mention it about Councilmember Markham, but I guess it's about both of them. A lot of the projects that we have going on right now, I want to give a big thanks to them for the efforts that they put forth. You know, it won't be long till we'll have a new fire station that'll be completed, a new Station 1, a new public works facility that's down south that's underway right now, a new recreation center renovation. The Carson Street project was completed during their tenure. Broadway Avenue is a project that's going on that we'll all enjoy the fruits of. And I just hope that we, as they pass and have left their mark on this council and this city, I hope we always thank them for the hard work that they did, whether we agree with individuals or not. Everyone that sits on this council, whether they're a friend or a foe or whatever you consider them, I believe that every individual works diligently to try to make this a better community for all of us. And I want to thank them for the efforts that they made, because some of the fruits that they've worked so hard for we'll all be able to enjoy in the next 6 months or so, I hope. So thank you, Councilmember Jennings, for all your efforts.
Anyone else like to make a statement? Councilmember Hurley.
Well, between Dewey, Markham, and Phil Jennings, they're the reasons why I even ran for office. I never had the courage to do it, and they kind of stimulated my thought and challenged me to run. And it is really a unique thing to be able to sit on city council and do things for the city. And I think both of them have been an inspiration. I've enjoyed working with both of them. And the fact that Phil's a third cousin of mine doesn't mean a whole lot because he's still here in town. But I appreciate the both of them.
Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I also would like to echo what John said about tireless hours and everything that we as council members put in, and I'd like to thank Denise and his family for putting up with that. I mean, it is a major deal to have to go through the things that we go through, and now that we're going through a budget situation and that we're facing, it's very tough, and the decisions that we make up here, and you know, a lot of people take those decisions for granted that they're easy and just go about your business, but we do spend a lot of time studying our packets and what have you. It's what we're elected to do, I understand, but it is very, very tough decisions that we make, and Phil's been a great asset to this council and to this community, and I'd just like to thank him for that.
Okay. Further comments? Okay, there being none, Mr. Torres, I believe you're going to present the plaque to Councilmember Jennings. Is that?
I will be carrying this off to him, Mayor. I think he and I are going to meet in the next day or two, and I'll be sure and pass it off to him, and maybe even share a videotape copy of this council meeting tonight. That might be something good for him to see.
We'll pass off to him the appreciation of all of us for the time and effort he put in as an elected official.
I will do that.
Okay, having addressed those who are outgoing, it's time now to have the oath of office administered and the presentation of the certificate of election. And our city secretary, Brenda Staub, will take control of the meeting at this point. And if you'll tell us what we're about to do and where we need to be.
If I can please have all the newly elected officials come to the podium, and I will give you your oath of office.
You do, Mayor.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to.
If you will please repeat after me, please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jude Sutton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office.
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
State the office, City Council,
City Council, Place 1,
Councilmember Place 2.
of the state of Texas.
State of Texas,
And will, to the best of my ability, preserve.
will to the best of my ability preserve,
Protect and defend the Constitution.
Protect and
and the Constitution
And the laws of the United States.
and the laws of the United States
And of the state, so help me God.
and of the state, so help me God.
I present to you your certificates. Please, let me take your seat.
If we could, we have been trying to keep the doors closed at the back, so all of you, please feel free to come in. And I know some of you are standing at the back. If you'd like to come in and be seated, feel free to do so. If you'd like to remain standing, you're more than welcome to do that. You've just seen the administering of the oath of office to the 4 newly elected public officials, and also the presentation of the certificates of election. And congratulations to all involved. And we will, at this time, make available time for each of the newly elected individuals, starting with Councilmember Sutton in place 1, then Councilmember Henderson in place 2, Councilmember Diane in place 7, and then myself. So if you would, Councilmember Sutton, do you have something you'd like to say to address this group tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. I first of all just want to thank my family, my children, my wife, my in-laws. Thank you so much for believing I could and believing I should. Thank you very much. I also want to thank all those that supported me, that gave of their time, their interest, their caring for Haltom City, and put it in my trust. And I thank you very much for that. And I'm going to do, to the best of my ability, live up to that charge to serve you, because that's where this position comes from. It's from you, and I'll never forget that. I also want to thank those that participated in this system of democracy that we have here in America. Those that voted against me, those that may not have voted, but I just appreciate you, and I want to say that I serve you also. Even though we may disagree on some issues, I serve you, and I've got a listening ear, and I will make myself available to you so that we can talk through and discuss those things. This is the first office I've ever held in my life, and I can think of no better place to do it than here in America. And not only in America, but in Texas, the state that I choose to live in and that I love. And not only Texas, but Haltom City, which I'm very proud of, and I'm thankful to God that I have a chance to live here in Haltom City and represent you and serve this council and serve the people here. Thank you for electing me.
In place 2, Councilmember Tracy Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I too, like Councilmember Sutton, want to thank my wife. We just had our first kid during this process, during the campaign process, and it's been a very hectic time. She's been a trooper through it all. Secondly, I'd like to thank my family and friends who supported me as well through this. The grassroots efforts on the phone calling and all that. I appreciate all y'all's help, everything y'all did. And I also want to thank the voters as well for the opportunity to serve the citizens for 2 more years. I've enjoyed the previous 2 years, as I stated in the past, and I look forward to the upcoming 2 years. And I look forward to working with Mr. Sutton and Ms. Branson in the future, and hopefully great things will come from this council as in the past councils from this city. Thank you all.
And in place 7, Councilmember Diane Branson.
Wow, I'm seldom speechless, but I have to follow these 2 guys and the speeches before us. I too want to thank everybody, my parents from the very beginning who've always given me the support and the encouragement to do things, and to thank the voters and old friends and new friends and friends I haven't met yet. I'm humbled and honored. Thank you.
Well, the 3 who have gone before me have been brief, and I probably will not follow that pattern that's been set. I do have several things I want to say. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to the 2,241 residents of Haltom City who cared enough about our city to get out and vote on May the 3rd. I want to express my appreciation to the majority of that 2,241 who elected me to serve as your mayor for the next 2 years. I am very humbled by your confidence in me to serve in this capacity, and I view this as a role of public service. This is not about me. Serving is not about me. It is a sacred trust. It's about you and the citizens of Haltom City. I am here to serve you. I want to be a servant leader in partnership with you and with this council and the staff for a better Haltom City. I believe the principles that have guided me during the first 2 years will be principles that I will embrace, and that is my leadership style is God-based, heart-led, and citizen-driven. And I do want to be available to you. I want you to contact me. We have people stop by the house, and I want you to feel free to do that. My cell phone number is here at City Hall. Call the city secretary, and I want you to feel free to call me on my cell phone. I have that with me just about all the time. My phone number at home is listed in the directory. My email address is mayor@haltomcitytx.com. Have a personal website, www.calvinwhite.org. Please feel free to contact me anytime with any questions or concerns you have. I want to express my appreciation to the many supporters who worked so hard during the course of this election. And I, like the others have mentioned, I want to live up to the trust you've placed in me, and I make that commitment to you. I want to especially express my appreciation to my wife of 42 years for her unending patience, for her tolerance, for her undying love, for her unrelenting love in me, and for her unfailing support. Like the spouses of all elected officials, she's made a lot of sacrifices to allow me to serve, and I deeply appreciate that. But most of all, I'm grateful to God for giving me grace and strength to compete and to serve. I look forward to these next 2 years. We've got a lot of rebuilding to do. We've got visions to cast. We've got hard decisions to make, and we've got some hard work ahead. And I'm asking all of us here in Haltom City to lay aside our personal differences and stay focused on the issues before this community. To channel our energies on positive issues rather than fighting each other, positive issues that will help build, that will help this city, build this city up, and will help us to move forward. I'm asking all of us to work together for a better Haltom City and to make this truly a community that is proud and progressive. My focus these next 2 years is going to be on raising the bar of leadership here in Haltom City, on improving our image, on aggressive economic development, and completing all of these projects we've got going on within budget and on time. And I, again, appreciate deeply the trust that the citizens of this community has placed in me. I want to shift gears just a little bit. I talked with council in the pre-council session, in the briefing, to make them aware that the methods I use in conducting council meetings is going to be a little bit different than it was the previous 2 years. And I've asked for their cooperation, and I know they're going to be cooperative because we're all on the same page of trying to move this city forward. I've been pretty loose in the past, but I want to tighten up our meetings, and I want you to know, in the audience and those who are watching on TV, what is happening when it does and what to expect. Sometime we get off the subject, and we ramble, and we may repeat, and we probably discuss some things to death. And I've been pretty tolerant. I'm going to be a lot quicker to interrupt a colleague and ask us to get back on the subject or to to finish their comments so we can move forward. There may be times when I interrupt a council member to ask them to get back on subject when the comments are not germane to the motion or the issue at hand. And I've asked my colleagues to not take this personal. I'm not trying to cut off debate because healthy, spirited debate is essential to the democratic process, and I want to encourage an openness here rather than a stifling of that. But what I am seeking to achieve is greater focus and efficiency in our time. And I've given the council the right to disagree with any decisions I make, and I've explained to them the vehicle by which they can appeal the decision of the mayor and can override that decision. My biggest focus is on order and decorum, and because of that, we have had personal attacks and derogatory remarks made in this council room in the last 2 years on a few occasions. In the name of order and decorum, those will not be tolerated. There are times when we've had citizens come to the podium and have directed those kind of comments to the mayor or to other elected officials or to staff, and we will maintain order and decorum. And personal attacks and derogatory remarks will not be tolerated. Sometime it may be a member of the council toward a citizen, or maybe it is among council members. But we want to raise the bar and focus on order and decorum. Another thing that I'm going to be focusing on is that we get quicker into taking action on the items that are placed before us. The agenda is received by the council 5 days before the council meeting, and that's usually over a weekend. And that's plenty of time to study the supportive material that has been provided by staff, and to call the city manager with questions and let him know what the concerns are. And then in pre-council, we review and ask questions of the staff. And when it comes time for our meetings, we ought to have our questions answered and be ready to take action unless there's some new information that has been revealed. There will be times when we'll need to provide the audience, both you here and the ones at home, with information, and we'll seek to do that. But I do want us to be more efficient with our meetings and the way they're conducted. I want them to be productive, and I want order and decorum of the highest level as we seek to make Haltom City the city we can be all can be proud of, and that can progress toward the goals that we have all set. So with that, that brings to a conclusion the comments by the newly elected officials, members of the council who were not elected in the May 3rd election. Do you have any comments you'd like to make at this time regarding especially the two new members who have come on board? Councilmember Fowler.
To make it quick, Mayor, I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you all that have been elected by the citizens of Haltom City, and also thank those people for taking the time to get out and vote and be part of the process. I just wish that there were more. I wish that we have some 16,000 to 18,000 registered voters, and I wish we could turn out 12 or 14,000 on election. Assuming we didn't, we still had a good turnout for all practical purposes in a municipal election, and I thank y'all for taking time to do that, no matter how you cast your ballot. Look forward to working with the new council members and the council members that have been reelected. I look for a lot of progress to continue. As I stated earlier, I think no matter whether I've sat on councils where people don't necessarily agree on every issue or every item, but as long as you're moving towards a positive end result, I think that that's the main thing. How we get there is pretty much irrelevant. It's just the fact that we're going to get there, and we're going to do things that are good for our community. And I just challenge this entire body, not only the newly elected and re-elected individuals, but also the current council members. I know that these guys, everyone, and ladies will step up to the challenge and look forward to it. So we've got a lot of hard work in front of us, and ask everyone to be part of the process, get out and volunteer, and do the things that we need to do to make this better for all of us. Thank you.
Councilmember Averett.
To kind of follow up on what Councilmember Fowler had said, I'd like to congratulate you, Mayor, and also Councilmember Henderson on your reelection, and also Councilmember Sutton and Mrs. Branson over here for their election to City Council, and offer my assistance. If I can be of assistance to you, don't hesitate to contact me.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Same deal. Congratulations to Councilmember Henderson and the mayor on their re-election. Making line of what you said while I was fixing to tell you we were rambling on, but I wasn't going to do that. Councilmember Branson and Councilmember Sutton, welcome aboard. Get ready for 2 hard, long years answering the phone, answering complaints, and it's going to be a little different. When I was out in the audience sitting looking up here, I thought, well, I got all the answers. And once I got up here, I had all the answers, but they didn't fit into the questions. So good luck on y'all sorting those out. And if there's anything that any of the council members here can do for you, feel free to call on us.
Councilmember Hurley.
I'd like to congratulate the new council members and say that I think this council has worked together as a team more than anything else, and I look forward to working with them as a team toward the same goals. Thank you.
Okay, we have each had an opportunity to say a word regarding the elections that have just passed, and it's time now for us to move forward. And I know there are a number of you here in the audience tonight who came out for the swearing in for the oath of office and for what has happened up to this point. I would like for us to elect the Mayor Pro Tem at this time, which is the next item on the agenda. And once we elect the Mayor Pro Tem, we'll take a 10-minute break. And if you need to go home or if you need to leave, feel free to do so. However, if you'd like to stay, you're certainly welcome to do that. Our agenda looks like it's pretty short tonight, so if you want to stay for the duration, you're more than welcome. But we'll take a 10-minute break after the election of the Mayor Pro Tem to allow for an orderly transition, and then we'll proceed with the council meeting. I have asked our city secretary, if she will, to read from our charter, read into the record what a Mayor Pro Tem is and what the responsibilities are before we receive nominations.
Thank you, Mayor. In the City Charter, Section 3.09, Mayor Pro Tem, it states, the Mayor Pro Tem shall be elected by the council from among the members of the council and shall perform all duties of the mayor in case of his absence or disability.
Okay, you have heard the definition of what a Mayor Pro Tem is. Councilmember Williams, I believe your light was on first, and then Councilmember Avery.
Thank you, Mayor. I have learned in 5 years the way to get out of stuff is have to be the first to have your button on. So the Mayor Pro Tem's job is a very important job. It's a job where you'll be working hand in hand with the mayor and the council. There'll be items come up where there's 2 different functions come up at the same time, and both gentlemen cannot represent the city at that time, and so it's handy to have the Mayor Pro Tem. Sometimes we even have to call in on a third council member to make 3 different things happening at one time. For instance, 3 times this last week, I've had to step in for the Mayor Pro Tem since he was ill, so it is a very important job, a lot of responsibility, and being the senior member on the council, I think any member that we have here on the board is quite capable of doing that, but within the hard work and the dedication that's been had, I would like to make a nomination of Robert Hurley to be our Mayor Pro Tem. I think he would serve us well in the next year.
Okay, we have a nomination for Councilmember Hurley to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Avery?
Well, Mayor, Councilmember Williams beat me to the punch.
Okay, do we have other nominations for Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, there being none, if you will, register your vote regarding Councilmember Hurley serving as Mayor Pro Tem. And that passes
Hey.
with 1 abstention.
Well, thank you for the vote of confidence. It's quite an honor to serve as Mayor Pro Tem because this does involve a lot, and I would question whether I had the time to even serve in the capacity as a mayor because it's more than a full-time job. all I can say is that I'll do my best. I appreciate your vote of confidence. I hope I don't stumble or fall or embarrass myself or the city, but I'll do my best. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Hurley, and welcome aboard as our Mayor Pro Tem for the next 12 months. We will take a 10-minute recess at this time. When we come back, we have a presentation to make, and I want to apologize to Ms. Cardinal. I know you come tonight with some assistance in getting here, and I told you we'd try to get to this a little bit quicker than we did, but if you can give us 10 more minutes, when we come back, the first thing we'll do is present the award to you as our Senior Volunteer of the Year. If you'll be back at 8:30, we will continue our meeting at that time.
Sounds like you better free up your calendar. You better get that calendar freed up.
Oh, my goodness. Well, between city council and going to cardiac rehab, and I have been for years.
At Harris?
No, at North Hill. My wife was a patient there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're reconvened now in open session, and if you will, close those back doors. And I want to explain that just a little bit. It's very important when the council is discussing issues that comes before it for there to be the least amount of distraction as possible, and we would like to be able to keep those doors closed. And also, if you're going to be inside and there's a place to be seated, I really would like to request that you be seated. So if you would, I would appreciate that. And we'll just make that a policy from this point forward that if there is a place to be seated in council chamber, that you do so. We want to be able to concentrate on the business at hand. And the business at hand at this point is a presentation of our Senior Volunteer of the Year, and our Public Information Coordinator, Fran Burns, is here and will introduce this presentation at this time.
Thank you very much, Mayor. About a month ago, I was here to present the Volunteer of the Year and all the nominees for the Haltom City Volunteer and Senior Volunteer of the Year. And unfortunately, the winner of the Senior Volunteer of the Year award was unable to attend. And in fact, it's been really tough to pin her down. She's so busy, and she's everywhere volunteering and helping people. The normal process for Volunteer of the Year is to have the nominator read the nomination about the honoree. And in this case, it was the mayor. So, Mayor, could you come forward and read your nomination of Chloe Cardinal? Chloe, can I come up?
I want all of you to take a look at this lady. She is one remarkable woman. And when we thought about the Senior Volunteer of the Year earlier, this is the person who came to mind. And let me tell you why. And let me just read the nomination form of why I nominated Chloe Cardinal. When Chloe Cardinal retired from Texas and Pacific Railroad in 1990, she didn't look for a rocking chair and a life of leisure. She got busy volunteering. Her saying that since I retired, I have become more busy than when I worked is an understatement. This 76-year-old dynamo is currently president of the Tarrant County SALT, which is a senior group that teams with law enforcement. She's president of the local AARP chapter, past president of the Haltom Senior Citizens Council, and currently that group's tour group leader. She is the third vice president of the National Association of Railroad Women, the treasurer of the Haltom City Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, and she volunteers as a member of the St. George Altar Society. Her volunteer efforts have won her the National Good Samaritan Award from the National Association of Retired Women the last 2 years in a row, as well as the Retired Senior Volunteer Program's Volunteer of the Year Award last year, and that group's Woman of the Year award this year. She and her husband Bert drive to all local, state, and national conventions of the organizations that she is a member of. This remarkable lady logged over 1,800 hours of volunteer service last year and is worthy of Haltom City Seniors Volunteer of the Year for 1983. So if you would join me in expressing our appreciation to Chloe Cardinal on the accomplishment of this.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to address this group, and then members of the council might like to have an opportunity to say something
Okay.
to you? I want you to know that she may be on a walker, she may be taking chemo, but you cannot keep a good woman down. We see evidence of that in her indomitable spirit, not only her, but her husband, Bert, as well. So it's our pleasure to have you as our Senior Volunteer of the Year.
Thank you very much. I do want to say that, if I can without crying, that it makes me happy. It makes me feel better. I have been asked, why do you do all of that? I said, because I enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Cardinal, I think Councilmember Williams has something he wanted to say, and then there may be others. Would you like to be seated for just a moment? I know it's difficult for you to get around. Councilmember Williams.
Thank you. I went down to the Senior Citizen Center Friday to wish Chloe and the rest of the ladies down there Happy Mother's Day, and she wasn't there. She was a little under the weather, but every time I've been down there, I think other than just that one time, she's been there. And every time they've had an announcement, she has had a list of stuff that she has the seniors involved in, begging for people to get involved. She's a spark plug down there. And her husband, a lovely man, Bert, everywhere you see her, you see him. And they are so active. I'm not going to tell you his age. He told me his age one day, and I could not believe it. We were out standing in the heat. He was standing there not sweating, and I was about to fall over. But this is a very untireless couple that we have here, and I want to extend from the council our thanks to your many hours, your dedication, and your love for Haltom City. We appreciate you, and we love you.
Anyone else like to make a comment in this regard? Mr. Torres? I believe you have your daughter with you tonight. Yes. Would you like to introduce her to us?
I'm Karen Cooper.
Thank you.
I don't know what else you want to know about me, but I'm not a resident of Haltom City anymore. I was for 18 years.
Well, thank you for being here tonight and being with them to be a part of our trying to pay a little tribute and honor to somebody that's given above and beyond what anybody could expect. So thank you very much. And Mr. and Ms. Cardinal, if you need to leave, feel free to do so. And thank you for your patience with us getting up to this point in the meeting.
Thank you.
Ms. Burns, I think you have a recognition, another recognition at this point. And would you tell us a little bit about, I think, our Volunteer of the Year and our Senior Volunteer of the Year? We have an event coming up county-wide. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir, we do. United Way of Tarrant County hosts a dinner for all the volunteers of the year from the different cities in Tarrant County. There's about 30 that come and to be part of this event. And it's a way of recognizing the city representatives. And Mary Spencer, who's here this evening, who just happened to be elected as a school board member, BISD, will be recognized that evening. It's May 22nd at the Worthington Hotel in Fort Worth. So we're really pleased to be able to present her at that time. The next item on the agenda is the Beautification Board had requested that they come to the City Council and recognize the work that's being done to maintain some of the areas that they actually were responsible for having installed the improvements to the city with regard to landscape. And so this evening we have another one of our volunteers. His name is David Harper, and he in fact was the Volunteer of the Year in 1999. So I'm going to ask him to come up and make his presentation.
Well, thank you, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I do have a presentation. I don't have a plaque or a clock or an ashtray or anything like that for this individual, but I also want to say a few words in addition to the thank you to him. As you remember, in 1998, I believe, the Beautification Board won the Governor's Community Achievement Award, and that landscape project grant was from the Richland Hills border, and you come west on East Belknap, and it ends right there in front of the BISD Administration Office. And once that was installed, it's been installed for about 3 years, the small medians and the detailed landscaping was maintained expertly, I must say, by Carl Milius under George Fowler's direction, and it's y'all's, the city management and administration's direction. And it was done expertly and very well. But the grassy area from the creek up into Richland Hills was not kept very well. In fact, it was embarrassing to have won a $214,000 grant, and then we could not, for whatever reasons, maintain it correctly. But today, the good news is today it is being done correctly. It is being done the way it should have been done all along, and I'm here to, on behalf of the board, to say thank you for finally seeing the value and the appearance of that project, and it's very important. I'd also like to say the reason there's an urban decay theory called the broken window theory, and it goes into this appearance thing. It has been proven that in a community, if you allow a building, and this is kind of oversimplification, but if it has a broken window, an undesirable element seizes upon that look. It says to an undesirable element that you don't care, that you can't get to it. And this brings in a kind of people and activity that will cost you more, far more than mowing the medians or whatever correctly. It will cost you far more in the criminal justice system, police, their equipment, court time. So that's the importance of it. It's not that, say, for the boards, for example, it's not that we like to see pretty grass and pretty flowers. It's much deeper than that. It's about economic development. It's about caring, and it's about appearance. And if you don't look good, you get left behind. And I think for far, far too many years, our city took a bare bones, minimalistic approach to this, and I think it's cost us. But that out there now is evidence of that you're seeing the value of taking care of it correctly. And again, we thank you. In the future, I know we're having tough economic times, and there are, I've seen some of the contracts to take care of the medians, and some of them are only being mowed once a month, which is probably within what we can afford, but again, it costs you far greater if you don't take care of it correctly up front. Once a month on some key medians is not enough. You know, springtime in Texas, that stuff, particularly for weeds, can get 3 feet tall, which if I did it at my place, I'd probably get a ticket. So, but again, I want to close on a positive note, and thank you for taking care of that $214,000 gift correctly. And someone who's very responsible for taking care of the detail, the public grounds here at City Hall, the library, and on, is Carl Milius. Carl Milius, is Carl here? Carl, would you come up? I did landscape maintenance for 16 years, and I'm here to tell you, it's hot as you know what out there in the summer. Your skin, you're just searing. The air is bad, and what you have to go through to do what this man's doing is incredible. And like I said, I don't have a hat, I don't have an ashtray, I don't have a clock, but I do have a genuine thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Carl, I feel like I need to chime in a little bit. I also get many, many compliments on your work, and I see it myself. You know, there's a lot of people out there that truly appreciate what you do, and I think it's really unfortunate that due to the economic conditions of the city that we can't put more people out there with your abilities, because we could just make an incredible improvement to this community. And so I appreciate what you do, and don't get discouraged. Just keep plugging away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
If you're following along on the agenda, item number 6 will be moved to a later date. The presenter was ill tonight and not able to be here, so we'll look forward to the Parks and Recreation Board presentation at a later council meeting. We come now to items 7, 8, and 9, and this is the consent agenda. And these are very routine. They're self-explanatory. They'll be enacted by the council with one motion. So I'm in line for a motion regarding the consent agenda. Councilmember Averett.
Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion. Councilmember Hurley.
That's for second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? If you will, register your vote. And okay. All right. Good. All right, we move now to the Visitor Citizens Forum, and this time is set aside for any person having business before the council that is not scheduled on the agenda to have an opportunity to speak to the council. All of the comments need to be directed toward the presiding officer rather than to an individual member of the council or staff. Each speaker needs to identify themselves and must limit their comments to the subject matter listed on the speaker's request form, and must refrain from personal attacks against any individual. And a 5-minute time limit will be granted. And Mr. Clowers, I see you are already moving, eager to address the council. And if you will, give us your name and address for the record. And I believe the subject on which you wish to speak is the Haley Street renovation.
Yes. My name is Wayne Clowers. I live at 5809 Highland Avenue. I have a lot on Haley which backs up to my Highland, in which my sister wants to build a house. And I came down here because I wanted everybody to know that I'm unhappy with the drainage plan that y'all got. I've talked to the city manager a couple of times. We've discussed a couple of options. One of the options was letting me just go ahead and put the drainage all the way across the, I'd pay for the culvert all the way across the lot if they'd go for that. So some of these things are under discussion. But the main thing is I wanted to come down and let everybody know that I'm unhappy, and there's going to be a lot more people unhappy. When they cut the grade and the ditch, it's going to be hot on Haley, and that's going to be before they put down the hot tire. And I'm going to be watching it because I'm really not affected that much. I'm glad. You're going to unify the whole street, and it's really too bad that it's going to be against the city for the open ditch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clower, for your presentation. Response, comments?
Mr. Clower and I have spoken numerous times, I guess, and we're doing what we can to accommodate not only Mr. Clower but every other citizen out there. I think it's kind of unfortunate that the ditches are going to have to be there, but you know, given the money that was earmarked for that project, it's the only alternative we have, and I guess we're just trying to make the best of the situation at hand. So.
Okay, we move now to our next speaker, Mr. Mike Stewart. Mike, if you'll come forward, give us your name and address for the record. The subject is congratulations and a challenge to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Mike Stewart. I live at 3521 Larry Street here in Haltom City. First, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Sutton and Mrs. Bransom on their election to this council. I also want to congratulate you, Mayor White, and Mr. Henderson for your successful re-election bids. My remarks are primarily to our two newest council members, but what I have to say is really for each of you. Mr. Mayor, though you're a very important part of the council, I'm basically addressing my remarks to the voting members of the council. Each of you has a mind of his or her own, able to read and research the issues that will be presented to you individually and to this council as a body. During discussions you will have among yourselves, as you go over the pros and cons of those issues, I ask that you use your knowledge and wisdom to form your own opinions as to what will benefit the citizens of Haltom City, especially those impacted the most by the decisions you make. I've watched this council discuss and make decisions over the past few years, and now I come to what I believe is the most important part of my comments. Mr. Sutton and Mrs. Bransom especially, but to each of you who are in seats of authority in this city, I charge you to do two things. First, as Mayor White said earlier, your position is a sacred trust, and you must remember that you represent everyone in this city, not any special interest groups or any specific individuals. Do your homework on the issues, ask questions, and make your decisions based on what is best for Haltom City and all of our citizens. Second, I say to you, don't let anyone on or off this council try to influence you not to use your own mind to decide what you believe is best for our citizens. If you don't agree with their points of view, then vote according to your conscience. We've had too many years of unanimous votes on some issues. It's time for each and every one of you who say you represent us to do just that, instead of trying to influence other council members to vote the way you want them to, for the benefit of the few. Mr. Mayor, I thank you for allowing me to speak my mind. I hope and pray that each one of you will consider my comments seriously. Our citizens need men and women who will be individuals with our best interest in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Our next speaker is Bob Watkins. He wishes to speak on the subject of special council meetings and workshops. Mr. Watkins, if you'll give us your name and address for the record, please.
Bob Watkins, 6140 Blue Spruce Circle, Haltom City. As a citizen and chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustment, I feel it necessary to comment on the meeting to be held in these chambers tomorrow night. Number one, for quite some time now, the ZBA and the Planning and Zoning Board have met here on the second and fourth Tuesdays of most months, and the Housing Board has met on still other Tuesdays. We need the PA, etc., to be effective, to effectively perform our duties, and all testimony must be recorded. Number two, tomorrow night, members of the ZBA and some staff will most likely miss part of the workshop, and our council liaison will not be in attendance for the meeting at all. Planning and zoning folks will miss all and most of the workshop. I, for one, at least, would appreciate some consideration concerning when and where such meetings are held in the future. Also, as an aside, I noticed at the last meeting and from the agenda for tomorrow night that there's no prayer and pledge to allegiance, and I think that at these troubled times it'd be appropriate that we had those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Our final speaker tonight is Mr. James Grazan. Mr. Grazan, if you will, come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and the subject you've listed is your relationship with City Hall.
My name is James Grazan. I reside at 2821 Eleanor, Fort Worth, Texas. I came here approximately 4 meetings back.
Mr. Grazan, could we get you to move a little closer to the microphone? We want everybody to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
I came to to address this council about 4 meetings back in regard to selective code enforcement. I had some issues that I wish to discuss and work over. I came to the city council the last scheduled meeting, but I was in the middle of a move and was unable to stay. I talked with Mr. Torres and expressed that, but I came to say that I stay up with the council, although I don't come very often. I was very proud of the council we had, and I think that I'm looking into the future of the new members. I don't know of any city that I've had to visit that I was any happier with the members of the council. I want to make a few remarks. One was that somewhere, those of you that used to have coffee up the old Log House Cafe, old Joe Denman had an old 3/4 ton truck he made into a wrecker. Old George Wilderspin had a big trucking company here and some things like that. I don't believe that since that time I've enjoyed speaking with the city manager any more than I have Richard Torres. I feel honored to have spent some time with him lately. Although he didn't do exactly what I wanted, he doggone sure listened to me, and he is working on it. Secondly, comes to mind that somewhere around that old Log House Cafe and Haltom Road up there ought to be a Haltom City cornerstone, and somewhere on there it ought to have the name Markham. Phil Jennings was a individual on this council that I really enjoyed and admired his ability with the English language. So I'm certainly going to miss that. But I'm looking forward to visiting with the new members, and I just wish to say that I'm real proud of this council we have right here. Although I vote in Fort Worth now, and I work in my friend's shop on Little Fossil Road, she votes in Haltom City still, and I feel a real closeness to this council, and in no city that I have visited have I found a better informed council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grazan. And that addresses all of those who have requested to speak before the council tonight, and we thank each one of the four for the issues you've brought forth and the concern and the interest you have in our city. We move now to the next section of our agenda, and that is the announcements and events. Mr. Torres, I believe you have an announcement to make at this time.
I think it's already been mentioned several times tonight, but I'd like to reemphasize that tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock in this room, we're going to be conducting another one of our very difficult budget workshops to discuss some of the issues at hand and to try to make some determination as to the particular areas that we need to cut to make this year's fiscal year end the way we want it to. This meeting is going to be televised, so those of you at home will be able to catch it there if that's what you please. We've invited many staff members. The meeting is open to staff or to citizens here in the community, and we'd like to see as many people as possible, because I think then there'll probably be a better understanding of the problems and the issues and the difficulties that we're going to have to experience to make things right. So again, 6 o'clock tomorrow night in this room.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Councilmember Williams, I believe you have some announcements to make.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, on behalf of Fran Burns, our Public Information Coordinator with the Haltom City Public Information, she wants me to announce that Thursday at 7:30, May 15th, in the Haltom Road Park, there will be a concert. It will be a swing band. It'll start at 7:30. You're encouraged to bring your lawn chairs, any refreshments you like, relax, and enjoy this free event. The series will continue Thursday, June 19th with a Kinkajo Salsa Band. I hope I did that right. And Thursday, July 17th with the Texas Tumbleweeds, the Texas Swing Band. All performances will be at 7:30 p.m. at Haltom Road Park. That park is located at 3113 Haltom Road, just south of the City Hall here. If you have any questions about that, you can call Miss Burns at 817-222-7767. I spoke with Bobby Arthur earlier today, and she had asked me to make some announcements for her for the Senior Citizen Center. The 23rd of May, they're going to have a picnic sponsored by the fire department. Each year, the fire department goes down there and cooks hot dogs and refreshments for the seniors. So that will take place about 11:30. I think Jerry McIntyre's in the office here, the fire chief, and they've always had real good luck down there and never caught anything on fire, so they hadn't had to use their services. So that's the 23rd of May at about 11:30. This coming Friday, I'd like to invite all the council members plus the new council members. We'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary in our Senior Citizen Center. Bobby Arthur is the coordinator there. They're going to have some different guest speakers, some past council members, some past administrators. This will take place, celebration will be from 12 o'clock till 2. I would suggest you get there about 11:30 where you can hug all the people's necks. They're the huggingest bunch of people I ever saw. So they would like for you to participate in that. Also, Saturday, there's a Texercise event sponsored by Senior Citizen Services for a 5K run and walk, a 1-mile mosey, which looks real good to me. Several of our participants will be walking as well as volunteering for water stops and refreshments. And then Sunday is the big day. Set your pacemakers and get ready. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are going to be at the Senior Citizen Center. They will arrive there about 2 o'clock and they'll be there until 5. Be sure and bring your children, your grandchildren, your husbands, and fly swatters to keep your husbands in line with. We had them down there last year, year before last, and they were a marvelous group of girls that came out. They do a few routines there, and then they get out and mingle with the seniors. So that is really something to see. I'm sorry I'm going to be out of town Sunday. I'm not going to be there, so I hope whoever is there has a camera and take pictures for me. And with that, Mayor, I think that ends the announcements.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams. Anyone else with announcements or events tonight? There being none, we move now to item number 10, resignations of board members. Do we have any resignations to bring before the council tonight? There being none, we move to item number 11, and that is the appointment or reappointment of boards and commissions. Councilmember Fowler.
Yes, Mayor, if you're ready for an appointment, I have one for Beautification Board.
We're ready.
Miss Mary Beth Shipka of Tracy Drive.
Okay. You have heard Councilmember Fowler's recommendation for this member for the Beautification Board. If you will, vote regarding your wishes to ratify this appointment. And that passes by unanimous vote. Councilmember Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. For our Senior Advisory Board, we had a gentleman who had to resign because he moved off to Lake Whitney, and we have a new member that I want to appoint. Her name is Mary Ruth Armsby. She resides at 5320 McQuaid Street in Haltom City. The city secretary has all the information on it. I believe y'all have that in your packets. I'll do that one first, and I've got 2 more.
Okay. If you will, vote regarding ratification of Ms. Ormsby to the Senior Advisory. And that is by unanimous vote. You have a couple of more, Councilmember Williams.
Yes, Mayor. Next, with the departure of Dewey Markham, this leaves a vacancy on our Economical Development Corporation, and it's I've talked with the president of that earlier today, and we have requested that we appoint Bob Hurley, our new Mayor Pro Tem, to serve in that position that Dewey has vacated.
Okay, we have a nomination of Councilmember Hurley to be one of the council members on the Economic Development Corporation Board. If you will, vote regarding ratification. And that passes with one abstention. Another nomination, Councilmember Williams?
Yes, sir, I have one more. I want to show you how important it is that you stay till the end of the meeting. With Mr. Markham leaving the council, no longer being a council meeting a member, we had a resignation to the EDC board. And it's very important that we keep that board full. So since Mr. Markham's not here, I'm going to recommend Mr. Markham to serve on that board as a citizen. So he's right back in it.
So he just thought he was retiring. He just thought he was. Okay, if you will, register your vote regarding appointment of former Councilmember Dewey Markham to the Economic Development Board. And that passes by unanimous vote. Councilmember Henderson, I believe you have several to make, and would you prefer to do those all with one motion, or would you like to do them one at a time?
Sure, I can do them all at once. They're all mostly reappointments, so all of these reappointments, it's not to all the positions, but to most of them. Steve Milius to Parks Board, Travis Royal to the Library Board, Tommy Sanderson to the Crime Prevention Board, excuse me, Bob Watkins, ZBA, Mary Spencer to Beautification, and Sandra Sellers to the Sexually Oriented Businesses Board, and I'll have my remaining appointments at the next council meeting.
Okay,
Would ratify those, please.
You have heard Councilmember Henderson's nominations for reappointment of these 6 individuals to boards and commissions. If you will, register your vote regarding those 6 appointments. And that passes by unanimous vote. Do we have any further appointments or reappointments to make tonight? Okay, there being none, there's no attendance requirements to be made. The council will move at this time into closed session as authorized by section 551.071, .072, and .074.